Empowering digital workplaces. Better communication, greater creativity. In 2017, Ricoh created Empowering Digital Workplaces, promising customers to connect people to information faster and more conveniently to improve communication and creativity. Inspired by the Sunai spirit of love your neighbor, love your country, love your work, since 1936, Ricoh continually thinks about how to help people work more creatively and achieve more satisfying lives. The first Japanese copy machine transformed the workplace, helping people to transmit information quickly and accurately without the time-wasting tedium of endlessly reproducing business documents. The first fax machine extended information transmission beyond the limits of hand-to-hand delivery to connect people across cities, countries, and the world in mere seconds. Both these breakthroughs were the birth of what is now recognized as office automation. Simple document creation, duplication, and delivery evolved into an endless series of workplace innovations that are changing the entire workflow of copying, printing, information communication, storage, and search. As times change and technology advances, there are still many complex worker, societal, and social interaction challenges to be solved by Ricoh, continuing to think about people to provide solutions that enhance their communication and creativity. Ricoh's value of empowering digital workplaces transforms business thinking into workable ideas that connect society in new sustainable value chains.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It is with much pleasure to welcome you and have you with us in this Ricoh Singapore's webinar. My name is Gladys Wong, and I am from the Corporate Planning and Marketing. This pandemic has tested many companies' workflow process resilience. This sudden paradigm shift in work mode from a fixed office space to working from home or just to work remotely has left many unprepared companies in a limbo, especially for companies who are still operating with a manual process workflow or even part digital, part manual work processes. Hard lessons from COVID-19 shows that paper-based processes are a cost burden that impede workflow, harm collaboration, and pose significant security risks. On top of it all, especially in Singapore context, companies must adhere to a set of compliance set by the government. The way we work and where we work has changed, but one basic fact has not. The work still needs to get done properly, following a set of stringent regulatory rules. So today, we shall learn how we can automate our workflow, particularly finance process workflow, to ensure critical business processes continue to move forward efficiently while keeping tab on compliancy. Before I introduce our panel speakers today, we want to do a quick poll. And it's only one question. On the pop-up, you will see the poll to drop in the answers, and results will be shown during the webinar. So let me just launch. Right. So in the meantime, while you are doing the poll, let me introduce our panel speakers today. It is my privilege to have Mr. David Wenzel, who is DocuWare Asia Pacific Director of Sales. Spending more than 20 years in the DMS industry and 9 years with DocuWare, David has worked in Netherlands, Greece, Spain, France, Austria, Switzerland, UK, Norway, and Denmark, which has given David remarkable insights and experience, both in direct and major accounts as well as indirect sales. David is now located in Australia since 2018. Hello, David. And with us today from Ricoh Singapore is Alex. Alex Ng, who is Senior Manager from Digital Workplace Service Group under Product Sales Division. Alex has within 15 years of experience in document solutions. Alex specializes in enterprise content management. He is currently with Ricoh Digital Workplace Services Group, providing managed print services, conversion services, and solutions for customers. Hello, Alex.
Hi.
Also from Ricoh Singapore, we have Winston Ong, Solutions Consultant from Digital Workplace Service Group under Product Sales Division. Winston has with him over 20 years in information technology domain and 6 years with Ricoh as Solutions Consultant, specializes on document management and process automation solutions, supporting clients with their digitalization journey.
Hello.
Now, hello. Before we begin, we need to do some housekeeping rules, yeah? Okay, here are some Zoom keeping rules. You are muted by default. If you'd like to raise a point or questions, please post them on the chat box. Towards the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A session, which you can then post your question in the chat box, and our presenters will try their best to answer them. Also, do note that this session will be recorded. Now, today's webinar, we shall be presenting on DocuWare Solutions. DocuWare is a subsidiary of Ricoh family. We have a long-term partnership with DocuWare. Since 2019, DocuWare is part of Ricoh Family Group. As can be seen on screen, if you have a Ricoh printer app, it can be integrated with DocuWare solutions. With this, before I pass the time to Winston, let me just end the poll. We shall see the results during the session with Winston. Okay.
Thank you, Gladys. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Winston, the solution consultant from Ricoh Singapore. Welcome again to our Ricoh webinar on invoice processing with DocuWare. So today's agenda, right? First, we will discuss on some of the common methods which the company adapted during this challenging period, okay, to process their invoices. And how does our solutions actually address all these challenges they face and strategize your business or organizations to become an agile business? All right. Let me change my slide. Okay. If you are still dealing with paper documents, organizing them or searching for these files manually, you know how time-consuming this manual task can be, right? Especially with the increase in the remote or the hybrid workers in your company. Such practices, right, can actually slow down the pace of your business. Yeah, and making it worse, these remote workers might not have immediate access to the data or the documents which are all sitting in your company. Okay, and you can agree that actually paper nowadays no longer gets the job done quickly in today's digital work environment, which is why so many businesses are actually turning to cloud document management and workflow automations to ensure their critical business processes continue to move forward efficiently. Yeah. Okay, let's say our solutions can equip your business to automate tedious processes, reduce the loads of hard copies, makes data easily accessible by your employee. You may still ask me, Winston, is there a standard to define the control of this digital management of documents and the process automations? Okay, so how does this question actually imply in Singapore context? Okay, let's take a look at the next slide from IRAS, which is our Singapore government taxation entity. Here's a guideline actually that we extracted from the clause. You can see the one that underlined in yellow, okay? It says that businesses should ensure that the proper internal controls are put in place, okay, to ensure that the integrity, completeness, accuracy, availability, and the reliability of the electronic records, including all transactions executed electronically where applicable. Yeah. So why do we need to have these internal controls? Okay, because in Singapore, right, you are required to keep all your records for at least 5 years. You know, your financial documents and the invoices, for example. Okay. And here's another tip from IRAS. Okay, on one of the key points raised by them on the importance of the record keeping systems. Okay, again, you look at the clause from the line underlined in yellow. Okay, record keeping systems, right, will alert you when it is time to follow up on the debt owed to your business or to take actions when payments are due. Okay, you will also be able to better manage your cash flow as well as reconcile your business transactions. Okay, so how do we ensure, right, this integrity, accuracy, reliability of the documents are in place within your organizations? And how do we set up alert for payments when it is due, as recommended by IRAS? Okay, so Alex, what is your view on this?
Yeah, which is why we are all here today. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Alex, Solution Manager from Ricoh Singapore. Get ready to break free from paper and data entry. To take control of your workflow and processes today. Automated processes help to remove a huge amount of mundane work from your team. With the advent of COVID, many employees face difficulty working from home. And if your processes still rely on paper, even more challenging. Some of these challenges are something that many, if not all of us, are familiar with. So before we start looking at the challenges, let's take a look at the poll again. So under work from home conditions, how do you process your invoices? A, pack home all your paper invoices. Let's look at the result.
Okay. Yeah, I think we need to have the result. Yeah.
Yeah. So 8% of the audience today here prefer to tap out or take away.
Okay. Yeah. So for point A, right, from what I recall, About 1.5 years ago, right? That was what was happened actually in the initial phase of the lockdown in Singapore, right? During the circuit breaker, yeah, when this caught some of the companies by surprise, they do not have a system in place actually to process this hard copy of invoices remotely. So what they did was actually they assigned someone back to the office to scan and email the invoices to finance teams who can actually process them at home.
Okay, really? Do they really go back every day just to scan the invoices?
Yes, that is true actually. From what I heard is that actually the HR staff, well, they will go back to the office, spend a few hours a day to clear the letterbox, open and check the mails and scan the documents to relevant parties for further process. And this include the invoices.
That's interesting. So this is actually quite similar to point B, with 33% saying that they will go back to the office twice a week to clear invoices.
Yeah, I would say that both options, right, at this point and point B are very manual and still working with papers. It is also quite similar to point C here, with about 13% of the audience saying that actually they will wait till month end, then clear all the backlog at one shot. I would say, right, this scenario, in my experience, right, is quite rare actually. So far, I have only heard of one case from a client that during the circuit breaker, they only went back at the month end to clear the invoice backlog. I guess this is only possible if they do not receive many invoices.
Yeah, which also means that they are likely going to miss those 30 days payment term if they only process the invoices during month end, right?
Yes. Likely will be liable for late charges. But I do remember, right, during the circuit breaker, right, in Singapore, many organizations or even the government, right, they have waived off charges like the late payment charges, reduce the rental, things like this and so on. But I guess the relationship with the vendors, right, if this thing happens, right, actually you're still affected, yeah, between you and the vendors.
Yeah, I totally agree. I guess nobody likes to work with companies who do not pay on time, right? As this will greatly affect the cash flow. So now let's take a look at point D, which is the most popular method as anticipated, with 45% of the audience saying that they use email as part of the approval process. And this is perhaps also the most digitalized method. But then email is also not the best way to handle approval, right?
Yes, precisely. Yeah. It is difficult to track status of the approval request in the email systems. Yeah. How do you know at which stage is your request pending at? Is it still sitting in your manager's inbox waiting for his or her approval? Or has it been forwarded to finance team for processing, or pending your financial controller to approve and issue the payment?
Exactly. I think this is a real challenge, especially when I don't think it is very nice to keep reminding or chasing your boss to approve your invoices, right? I think this task would be ideal for a system to take over this and nagging task automatically, right?
Yes, precisely. Yeah, I hate to chase and remind my bosses for such requests. I believe my boss don't like to be chased by me as well, right?
I think so.
Yeah, apart from this, I do know some bosses who do not have this habit of e-signing the PDF documents. Yeah, instead, they just reply the email with the word approve in the email body.
Yeah, this is always the case. And I don't think we will further delay the process by asking them to sign the PDF. Then how do we then process such approval?
Well, the finance teams has to go additional steps to attach that approved email as a supporting documents to the invoice. It will take extra time to do this, but I guess it is necessary, okay, for the audit purpose. Without the signature or the supporting documents as a proof of approval, that might fail the audit at the end of the year, when your auditors, internal or external auditors, start looking for all these documents.
Yeah, I totally agree. When there is no proper system, just relying on email, it is not easy to keep track and identify duplicate invoices as well. So we can come in the source of like an email attachment and then later on follow up with a hard copy email.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. That's very true, especially when the volume of the invoices is high. Yeah. Okay. You know what? We actually have been talking about the challenges a company face, right, using email to proof invoices. But in my experience, right, actually there is a bigger challenge out there when there's no systems in place. Yeah. Okay. You can let me know if you do not agree with me. Okay. To all the finance team out there, it has always been considered as a time-consuming task to extract data or key information from the invoices, manually, followed by eyeball checking and three-way matching of these informations between PO, invoice, and then the DO to make sure that all the figures tally. Yeah, and it is even worse if they have to match the invoice line items as well. And hey, it's not easy, right, to compare 2 or 3 PDF files, right, electronic files on 1 or 2 monitors screen.
Yeah, yes, I can imagine all the manual works to be done. I think we have discussed enough of the challenges with all these manual way of processing invoices. There is no better time than now to take control of your workflows and remove huge amount of mundane work from your team. Create digital invoices with intelligent indexing to securely store for instant retrieval. Use pre-configured workflows for approval routing to help expedite and keep your team on track. With this, allow me to invite David Wenzel from DocuWare as he shares with us the finance digitalization solution tool, DocuWare. He will also run through a live demo to showcase how these solutions can automate your workflow processes. David, please.
Thank you very much. So my name is David Wenzel from DocuWare, and it's now my turn to start my part of this webinar. And hopefully you should now see the screen properly. Yeah, the first thing before I dive into the topic is I want to start another quick poll. And the question is, how do you capture invoice data in order to process the payments? And this is an interesting question because many of the people already have some kind of an intelligent workflow or some kind of a structured workflow, maybe even already halfway automated or through emails, as we just heard from Winston. So there are many ways, but the key question is really, how do you get the information from, I call it a dead document, like a scanned document, for example. And most of the PDFs that you receive via email are also usually not coded documents. They are still just like an image. So how do you capture the information is the question. And yeah, what we offer here is you already have a software capturing all the data automatically. Most probably in this case, you would have DocuWare. So, or you are manually checking and keying this into the software. And this is a very cumbersome and high effort task. Or even worse, and this is what we very often hear in the market as well, is you do not even have a specific software. You're compiling all the data in Excel and trying to work through it completely on this Microsoft base. So yeah, please answer.
Right. We look like we have a very clear tendency towards one particular answer. Let me just end the poll and I hand it back to David for the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so there are already some using some kind of an automatic capture solution. That's fine already. We will see some more things later, how you can continue after you capture the information, but that's already nice. Manually checking and keying into the software is the winner here, and this is a vast majority. So I guess you all agree this is an error-prone task, so you can manually make a lot of mistakes, and the effort is pretty high. And even no specific software. So if we put it together, you could say it's 80% here of the people not having something that automates the business. So that's a good start for my topic. So let's have a look at DocuWare. While DocuWare is much more than an invoice processing or accounts payable software, it's a platform for content management, and you can do much more, like HR management. You can do general document management in either way, and many more ideas. And we will come to this a little bit later, and also in other webinars here from Ricoh and us. So today we want to concentrate on the invoice processing, and DocuWare has a ready-to-go solution already. While we are for sure able to configure the system to your specific needs, in most cases the needs, especially around invoice processing, are quite similar from company to company, and that's why we have a pre-configured solution, something like a best practice. And how do we need to start with such a solution? The first thing you need to do is you need to capture your invoices. So DocuWare's intelligent indexing replaces error-prone and time-consuming data entry by recognizing and recording all the data printed on the invoices. No matter which source you have, it could be still a paper-based invoice, it could be an invoice that you've received via email, or whatever source. So you can just have a PDF or even other document formats. We don't care. This is all available, and we can handle all the different sources and formats. After it has been captured and all the information has been taken from the invoices, what's the next? We need to store the invoice. We need to keep it in a secure way, and you can effortlessly archive and retrieve digital documents. All the invoices are stored with a secure, accessible repository, tightly organized based on captured index data, and you can access this anytime, anywhere from any device. So we will see much more about that later. So now we've captured the information, we've put it in a secure storage, but that's not it. We need to process it somehow, and this is where our automated workflows kick in. So you digitally route invoices through approval chains for faster decision-making, or initiate a straight-through approval process based on predefined business rules. So you can automate, and this is really the point. It's not just digitalized, no, it's automation of invoices. DocuWare is a very easy to implement solution, and it grows with your demand. So why not start simply and just with digitizing paper, or just putting all the sources together, and then when you are more convenient with it, you can use more sophisticated workflows once you're ready. So an easy solution could look like you capture the document, our DocuWare system will validate the invoice and will check if it's possible to get a direct automatic approval, or if there is a need for a manual approval process where someone needs to check the invoice by himself, or finally, if the invoice is too large to get it automated, that is, I want to check it twice, that's possible as well. So this could be a very good way to start your digital invoice processing journey. But if you look a little bit more in detail into such a process, where are the benefits? Where's the value? And you see, it starts straight away with the first task on the left side here: cut data entry time by 95%. So just imagine the time you spend keying in this manual information. And as we've seen in this poll, most of you do it this way. So you can just ignore it. This is something that happens automatically in the future. So this is an immense saving of time at this stage already. Then there is no duplicate data entry in the ERP or accounting software, because DocuWare can just transfer the information that has been captured directly into your accounting or ERP system. Then we have here, for example, a switch. This switch is DocuWare identifies what kind of invoice and what it is about. For example, it can do a three-way matching automatically. So if an invoice is matching the purchase order and has been, and the goods obviously have been delivered, then it can be approved automatically. Or based on predefined rules that you can define when the invoice is above $5,000, or then I want to have a manual approval process. If it's below and the matching has taken place, then approve it automatically. Or recurring invoices, such as phone invoices with every month the same amount from the same company. So these things can be automated. But even if you check the ones that have to be done manually, this is the route in the lower route here. So it shows the approval time, the approval time can be improved by 70 or 80%. So that's another major saving in your time. So just recap, you have 95% at the capturing. Some of the invoices are already automatically approved. There's no need to do anything. And with the ones that you capture or that you approve manually, the time for the approval is also reduced so dramatically. So just imagine what we are talking about. And yeah, and finally, once this is done, the invoices are automatically stored. And this is the next time-saving point, audits. Everyone gets tax audits. So this is usually not where you would start a big party to and being happy to support an auditor. No, with DocuWare, this is very easy. You give them an audit access, and the preparation time will also dramatically cut, at least by half. So you see there is a lot of potential in there to, even with the standard processes of DocuWare, to save time. So strengthen the complete invoice process. Again, you can automatically digitize and read incoming invoices and match them to purchase orders and delivery dockets, called three-way matching. That's one point. You can route internal invoice, the invoice approval requests based on amount, supplier name, cost centers. Even multi-level approval is possible. You can review and approve the invoices even while you are on mobile devices. I know it's not the time to talk about frequent travelers working somewhere at the airport, but maybe one day we will have this again. So, but however, even from home, it's nicer to have the access. You can also automate the supplier onboarding process. Just imagine what happens. You get a first-time invoice of a new supplier, and then this is not the standard invoice processing, but then another process kicks off, how to onboard this supplier, how to bring him into the ERP system, how to check all the details. This is also something where DocuWare can support you and save your time. And you can record approved and GL-coded invoices back to your accounting or ERP system through a very simple export process, or later on even with a direct API into your third-party software. So, and finally, you can maintain a secure and organized and searchable invoice archive for audits and budget planning. So there are plenty of things that can hook into this existing process later. What I said, once you're familiar with it, you may have new demands, new ideas, and we are happy to grow with you. So if I focus this today, it's delivering real value for your process. The challenges today are manual data entry, clerical errors, wasted time, solved with DocuWare, because automatic intelligent indexing and data export solve this issue. Complex coordination delays, confusing processes, it's all a thing of the past, because smart adaptable workflow and invoice routing made by DocuWare. And security gaps, painful auditing, and document loss is also history, because with DocuWare, business continuity, simplified auditing, and compliance. And now the best thing is it can get up and running in just days. We are not talking about huge, complicated processes and projects that take 20 days of workshops and testing, and then 20 days of implementation. No, we are just talking about a couple of days. So if you would say, yes, I want to start with DocuWare straight away, I could tell you by the end of the month, you are ready to go. And now I made a lot of promises and spoke about the brave new world, but I also want to give you an impression how this world looks like. And for that reason, I will just switch my screen view to my DocuWare live presentation. Just 1 second. So here it comes. So DocuWare, first of all, is a web-based system. So no matter if you choose a distribution like you want to install it on-premise, on your service, on your infrastructure, or if you want to go with the cloud, in both cases, we have 100% feature parity. So the functionality and how to use it is exactly the same. But in both cases, you use a web browser to work with DocuWare. So this here is the web client. There's no other client, so nothing you need to install locally. You just work with an existing browser and the URL to your DocuWare instance. And also this supports DocuWare's philosophy to make it as easy as possible. Simplicity is the key. So we don't want you to have 2 weeks of training to learn how to use DocuWare. And we also don't want you to print 400 pages of manual to read through just to understand how to store an invoice. That's not the way you want to work. Usually after the implementation, you get maybe 60, 90 minutes introduction, and then you can go from there. It's easy to use because it's just intuitive. Let's have a look at this screen here. We also keep the terminology of the paper world. So in the upper left corner, right below the DocuWare logo, we have the document trays. And a document tray is exactly what it sounds like and what you may have in your mind. It's like those plastic trays that you have on your desk where you can pre-sort things, where you can distribute things or keep them for a temporary time. I know some people use it as an archive, but that's not the way it's meant to be. However, that's exactly the digital way of, or the digital version of a document tray, what we offer here. So it could be a personal tray, could be more than one tray, but it could also be a team tray where several people have access to, or in the best case, it's an automatic tray. This one here is called intelligent indexing. So it already does something to documents stored in there. We will see this in a short moment. Another one is the searches. Searches is the way to retrieve your information. And even though we can simulate folder structures, we believe that working with index criteria is way more powerful. So usually you're not looking for a green folder in the third shelf of a file cabinet, of the second file cabinet in room 304 down the corridor in the third floor. That's not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is information. You look for an invoice from DocuWare from last year, 3 pieces of information that you need to find your document, get rid of all the rest. And this is the way we look for invoices. We can see this in a short moment. Another point is we have lists. Lists are dynamic searches within our document pool. So you can be informed proactively by DocuWare if the due date of an invoice is reached or if there is something for you to act on. And finally, we have here the tasks section. Tasks is the workflow part of DocuWare. And currently our demonstration user here, Peggy Jenkins, she does not have any tasks. So we will change this now because I want to bring in some invoices into DocuWare. And I've chosen just a simulated scan of invoices, but it doesn't matter which source you may choose, if it's a simulated scan or if it's maybe something like one of those multifunctional print monster scan devices, those fancy copiers from Ricoh, or just maybe the smartphone. By the way, this is in my days as a frequent traveler before COVID. I was really happy to have my smartphone app just to take a capture with my as a photo. So hotel invoices, taxi receipts or something directly connected to my smartphone and also connected to my travel expense claims workflow. So automated from there. So, but the first thing that we always do is we capture all the information from the invoice. So we do a full text recognition. And so we offer you a Google-like search. That's nice, that's good, everyone is used to it, but that may not be enough in case of invoices. We want to have it more structured. For that reason, we have something called intelligent indexing. Intelligent indexing was already very diligent here, and you see these colored markers here. We have green, yellow, and it's a traffic light system. Fortunately, we do not have a red one here. Red would mean there is no content on this invoice that could be recognized. So green means all the mandatory fields have been captured and it's good to go. Yellow means there are some things to clarify. So I will now put them into directly from my tray into my document pool, which is the name of my file cabinet. And you will see now on the right side opens the viewer window. It's, by the way, it's detachable. If you have a multiple screen setup, you can have this viewer on a second screen. However, you see the invoice, and on the left side, you see what has been extracted automatically. This is just for demonstration purposes here. You can finally choose and change the fields to your specific needs. However, DocuWare was already diligent. You see here the green markers. So it identified the company called Phone Wizard. That's correct. It identified this is an incoming invoice. We have a document number. Here's a field missing and it's not marked in any color. This means you can have mandatory fields or optional fields, and an order number is an optional field. If you want to do three-way matching, it is mandatory. If you don't want to do it, you can leave it blank. So a phone invoice usually doesn't have any purchase order in front. So let's leave it like this. All the mandatory fields are green. I will just click on store. There's another one here, rapid transport. This is an invoice for some transportation services, obviously. And you see here, an order number could have been captured on this one. That's fine. So all is green. It's good to go. And I click on store. Let's have a look at this one here. This one was not so easy and automatic. That's for some reasons we built in some traps in this invoice to make it easier for us to show you how DocuWare works. So the company name was not easy to extract from this logo, and this remit 2 here distracted the service a little bit. So we have here the company name missing. And I can show you one hand, so I don't touch the keyboard, and the other hand is on the mouse. And I will just use here Storage Experts Incorporate. I highlight it and it populates the field automatically. So no need to touch the keyboard or manually keying in something. So we have here invoice in, that's fine. The document number is there, that's fine. Order number, I believe there is an order number. You see here our order hashtag. That's not a common way to define an order number, but that's the way they did it. So I will now just train the software by clicking on the order number. It populates the field, and DocuWare learned from this decision. So if in the future anyone would use order hashtag, it will be recognized automatically. So same with the due date, there is PMT due. So I just click the due date and I have a net amount. There's no tax amount right now. I can, I leave it open because we have different VAT rates depending on the country we are in. So I just leave it open now and click on store. And the last one is already green, put on store. So remember, I told you there are 3 easy steps. The first one, capturing, is done. Has taken place. It's already in there without touching my keyboard, automatic. So let's have a look at the second one. Hey, hang on, this is also done. It's already stored. So there's no need to do anything more. So let's think about the third step. It's the actual approval process. And you see here in the task section, now we have some tasks. So there are now 3 invoices with an activity assign a cost center, and one is already in the activity pay the invoice. What happened here? So I can open this invoice. Remember, this is the rapid transport invoice, and this was the one where we already identified a purchase order number, and DocuWare created an order documentation for that and did a matching. In this case, it was a 2-way matching. So it checked the invoice versus the purchase order. And because these documents matched from the numbers, DocuWare's workflow was designed to automatically approve this invoice. And now we are in the activity pay the invoice, but I know this has already taken place. It has been paid by credit card straight away with the driver. So confirm, and it disappears from my task list. So let's have a look at the others here. What happened here? They are in the activity assign a cost center because maybe there was no matching purchase order, or there was a clear mismatch. So we now need to do a manual process. So, okay, this is a first time invoice. That was the reason for it. So I will now take a stamp, another thing that is very close to the paper world, a stamp to assign a cost center, to assign someone who has to approve the invoice. So storage experts, I want to send this to the manufacturing department. And you see here on the right side, that there is a graphical stamp to assign this cost center and also to initiate the next workflow instance. Then we have the possibility for sure to split an invoice, either based on a standard key like 50/50 for two departments, but you can also split it by the line items, so or by numbers or by amounts. And the last one, to have a little bit traffic in the system, I will also send it to the manufacturing department here, and good to go. So now, as you can see, the task list is now empty. Peggy Jenkins has done what she was meant to do. So I will switch our virtual avatar to one of our approvers, and the name is Brian Ford. Brian is responsible for the manufacturing department, and he is, guess what, not sitting in front of DocuWare the whole day awaiting invoices to approve. He will be informed now by DocuWare with a simple email that there's something to do for him. So, dear colleague, there's a new invoice from Storage Experts with an amount of $129, and you can see all your workflow tasks here. So he could now either click on here and get a full list of his tasks, which could be some more. Just DocuWare is not just an invoice tool, so you could have HR tasks or whatever tasks here. Or he could just, from this email coming, directly clicking on invoice, and then it opens up only this one task, only this one invoice for him to process, and only what he can do is approve and reject, because that's what we defined. So you see here, Storage Experts, okay, this invoice, can't remember this invoice, and never heard about Storage Experts, but your PO, your purchase order, Simon, that's obviously not a purchase order number, but Simon is the first name of Simon Stone. That's a colleague from a different department. So as Brian wants to reject it, he has to enter a reason. The reason is it's not my cost center, but it's Simon Stone's cost center. And he confirms his rejection and the task is done. But let's have a look at the other two tasks, because we only have two more invoices, so we can deal with it. This one here, US Steel, that's fine. Brian is pretty much aware of this invoice. It's a very huge invoice, actually, and he checked it up front. So I want to approve the invoice. The amount is fine, so I can click on approve. And last but not least, there is this Phone Wizard invoice. This is a split invoice. We have to share this invoice between two cost centers. And yeah, sales is always talking much more than manufacturing. For that reason, I will just click on the amount I want to pay, or the amount I want to approve, and click on confirm. So this was a partial approval, and my task box is empty, and I can now concentrate back on my daily business. And we will, for the last step, have a look at Peggy Jenkins' desk. She is back from the coffee machine, and she now sees what's going on here. There's another task for her. Storage Experts, assign a cost center. Okay. On the right side, you see here, there's a stamp from Mr. Ford. He rejected for the reason, not my cost center, it's Simon Stone. Okay, she can now correct her decision and send this invoice to Simon Stone. Now all tasks are gone, but what about these other two invoices? There was another one, this US Steel and this Phone Wizard. That's because I filtered the task that only Peggy Jenkins sees her own tasks, but she's the supervisor of the process, so she's allowed to monitor the tasks even if they're on another one's desk. Now you see US Steel is currently in the stage and activity of a CFO approval because the amount was so high that there's a secondary approval necessary, and that's the CFO's approval. And that's the stage where it's currently in. And there's also the Phone Wizard invoice, and it shows there is an open amount of $614 from the original amount of $857. That's because I can look in the history, I can see what happened to this workflow. So it started, Jenkins sent this amount to these cost centers, and then there was an approval. Mr. Ford approved $242.12, leaving an open amount of $614.97 for the sales department, and the sales department's responsible person is Mr. Winner. So you can see always where are your invoices, what has been done, and finally, after an invoice is approved, all the data, all the captured data will be forwarded to the accounting or ERP system, and the booking can even take place automatically. So that's about a very, very quick overview of a DocuWare process, how it could be. There are much more details like the line item reading, the table fields, and all this stuff, but it was just meant to give you an idea how the look and feel of DocuWare is. So, in a nutshell, what DocuWare does. DocuWare captures documents with intelligent indexing, which skips in endless hours of manual data entry for you. Then you can keep the information safe, findable, and usable. You will never lose a document again. It ensures the processes are completely, accurately, and also, by the way, good reported. And it can be integrated in your ERP, CRM, or even more. DocuWare supports your specific document needs. So we are now talking about finance and accounting needs, but just be aware you can use the same solution, the same software for HR demands, for sales departments, for legal departments, and much more. And you can also use any format or source. So no matter if it's PDF, it's a Word, Excel, whatever, paper scans, mobile scans, yeah, that's fine. We can deal with it. And you can use mobile apps on iOS or Android, or a browser-based interface. You can use a tablet PC wherever you are, whatever you want to do. It's possible with DocuWare, in the office, on the road, across the country, from home, anywhere. And also important to mention, we are very experienced in the market since more than 33 years now. And we have more than 500 different integration into core application. So it's very easy to exchange data with your accounting or ERP system. And also we were quite diligent in over all these 33 years. We have more than 16,000 customers in more than 100 countries. And this equals around 700,000 users worldwide. And these are just some nice names. And it's not about the size of your business. The smallest business we have is a tradie with his notebook, a roof tiler. He wanted to get rid of all the receipts. And on the other hand, we have companies like Pentair with 58,000 users in the system. So absolutely scalable to whatever you need. And I also want to mention one testimonial, Rebel Refrigeration. Joe Johnson, the owner, he was really impacted by the lockdown, and he had critical business critical issues, and he wanted to start becoming a digital company. And he always wanted to do this before, but he always postponed it. And when it came to the lockdown, he recognized, oh, I have to do something. And even during lockdown, it was possible for him with our cloud delivery and also our pre-configured solution to start straight away. So he was really within the lockdown, he tackled his problem, and he came out of the lockdown with his business strength. So saving time, no more data entry, saving money with early payment discounts that you may draw that you could not draw before maybe. You can save your headaches with rapid responses. Now, refocus your team on a strategic profit-driving projects and not about how to capture invoices. Any questions and answers? This was a very, very long speech, I know. Any questions and answers on that?
We're still waiting for questions to be in. So let's, right, there is one. Is there a lifetime access to the data if decide not to continue with Dockerware?
That's interesting. If you already think about discontinuing using Dockerware, you not have started using Dockerware. So usually people don't go away from Dockerware anymore. However, yes, we have something called a Dockerware request, and this can export the data into an offline archive after the subscription expires. So it's not that you are tied to Dockerware for the rest of your life.
Right. Thanks, David. Okay. How safe is the data?
As safe as data can be. We are using the Microsoft Azure Data Center platform, and they are following the highest standards that are currently available. So if something can be safe in these days, then data in Microsoft Data Centers. So I guess, yes, the data is safe.
Right. Thank you, David. Okay. What is the bandwidth requirement?
Actually, it's not too intense. Using Dockerware means it's like surfing in the internet. So even if you have a very poor internet connection to see the documents, to root the documents, it's just more or less text-based information that is being exchanged. If you want to upload or download larger amount of documents and huge documents, I mean, for invoice processing, we are talking about PDFs and text documents. But if you have drawings or huge graphics or videos or something, then it's just about the up and download time that could be an issue. But for invoice processing, I don't see that there's any bandwidth requirement. So even with a very poor connection, this works properly good.
Right. Thanks, David. Well, I think someone has a US the headquarters or rather the head office is in US. So he was asking how easy or difficult to integrate with their ERP system because their head office is based in US.
I mean, there is no real issue where your head office is. It's more a political thing, actually. So if we get the access and if they are open to support this integration, then we can simply create it. The only thing sometimes, especially if it's a third-party vendor, sometimes they do not open up their API. That could be the only thing. But this is a case-to-case thing. From a technical perspective, we don't see an issue.
Right. Thank you. Wow, we have a lot of questions coming in. Give it. You pick and choose which one. Is this only available in the cloud?
No. It is actually available as an on-premise solution or in the cloud. We absolutely preferably sell the cloud, or our customers recognized in the last couple of years that cloud is the way to go. So we have the majority of our customers, meanwhile, signing up for a cloud subscription. But for whatever reason, if you need an on-premise solution, that's still okay. We still have our on-premise system, and what you've seen is exactly the same. So it's just the distribution based on your local infrastructure, but the rest is completely identical.
Right. Thank you, David. Right. There are a lot of questions coming in. I think a lot of people are really very interested in this solutions. Okay. Because time is running short, what we could do is thank you for all your questions that is pouring in right now. What we can do is that we could take this offline, and then our solutions consultant will actually emailed you with the answer. Yeah. So with this, we'd like to end the session. And before we end the session, thank you, David, so much for your time and for showcasing the capabilities of Dockerware Finance Process Digitalization Solution. And thank you so much for all the participants for all your it's very impressive questions, and it's very legitimate questions. We will come back to you with the questions. Trust me, we promise we'll come back to you. So with this, let me share my screen, and I right now invite Alex to share with us the key takeaways from this webinar. Alex, please.
Yeah. Okay, I thank you, David, for the interesting demo and introducing DocuWare, the finance process digitalization tool. It is time to look beyond the pandemic, how we need to transform our workflow for a new normal. Today, as small employees return to office and businesses restart and prepare for a rebound, we need to reimagine our processes, technology, and management style to achieve better employee engagement. Remote working is here to stay and will form the core of a hybrid work environment. And organizations will need to accordingly rethink their business model, capabilities, and workforce. The way we work and where we work has changed. One basic fact has not. The work still needs to be done. Leveraging on remote working tools can help to keep your employees safe, connected, and engaged no matter where they are. The key area of focus when it comes to supporting your remote workforce is to ensure employees have access to the right tool, information, and systems. So now, here's a quick recap of today's session. You can kickstart your digitalization with just one process and then expand as your business grows. Get your employees focused on high-value, knowledge-driven work by eliminating manual and mundane tasks. Secure your company's information to meet privacy and compliance needs. And lastly, provide your team with the information they need to do their work, anytime, anywhere, and with any devices. Today's webinar is an insight to Ricoh's process automation solutions. We aim to help you streamline and accelerate critical processes for better efficiency and productivity. Do reach out to our sales consultant to find out more about DocuWare. So with this, allow me to hand over the time to Gladys. Hey, over to you, Gladys.
Thank you, Alex. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, all our panel speakers, David, Alex, and Vincent, for your sharing and providing invaluable insights to learning how to break free from paper and data entry with automatic invoice processing. It is a very, I myself find it very engaging, and I learned a lot from this session. And so we want also to thank you to all participants. Thank you for all your questions and taking this time to attend our webinar.
Thank you.
So, building a digital workplace is more than simply adding a few devices and connecting them to the network. It requires a suite of smart office solutions with an ecosystem of data-driven hardware and software for creating an agile digital workplace. Do the things that matter. Let us help you harness information and transform it into an asset that drives business outcomes. We'll show you how we can take control of your workflow and processes today. Power up your business by improving costs and process efficiency, optimizing resources and space allocations, delighting your employees and strengthening your competitiveness by adopting a digital transformation strategy with Ricoh today. Come and experience Ricoh Singapore office and let us take you on a live tour of Ricoh Singapore integrated digital workplace office. Here you'll find that there is minimum paper documents lying around. We are truly embracing digital transformation. So I urge, implore everyone who's in Singapore to come over to our office and witness this change that we have in this live office. So email us corporate@ricoh.sg to schedule your tour today. Now we'd like to get your feedback because you matter to us. Ricoh Singapore has a full suite of IT solutions that is customizable and scalable to your business requirements. We have categorized our business solutions under these 4 pillars: smart and safe workplace, remote worker, process automation, cloud, and IT infrastructure. So if there's any particular business solutions that interest you, do indicate in your submission. And how do you register your interest? Once this Zoom webinar session ends, the feedback form will pop up in your browser. It will only take you 1 minute to answer all the questions. We love to stay connected with you. So check us out on Ricoh Singapore Facebook and LinkedIn. like and follow us for more webinar updates, or simply be in the know for the latest tech trending content. So with this, we have come to the end of the session. We will have a monthly webinar session whereby we will bring to you relevant topics that align and beyond today's tech trends. We look forward to receiving you in our next webinar, which is scheduled on September 23rd, 4 p.m. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. Till we next meet, stay safe. Catch you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
you.